Mark, Todd, after 14 years, is the framework of Dragon still a satisfying and productive outlet for you both?
Yes, it is, because we do so much stuff outside the band that when we come back to it, or, you know, whatever, it's great, it's fantastic. And ultimately, we just definitely would not be doing it if it wasn't a whole heap of fun.
Yeah. In the end, you have to sort of boil down the amount of time we spent doing it and the amount of enjoyment we get out of it. I mean, you wouldn't keep on doing it for 14 years if you didn't really like it, and that's what we do.
How has your relationship as brothers been affected by working so closely together for so many years?
Oh, well, in the late 70s, I guess, we stopped taking each other so seriously, and from there on it's been really easy. and it's easier for us because we're so completely different. On any problem or any view, we just come at it from totally the opposite direction and end up at the same place. Would you agree with that?
I'd agree with that. We work well together because we can anticipate what the other person is going to do. I think that's...
Anticipate and loathe it in advance.
I think that's one of the best things. That's one of the pluses of the relationship, really, is that we sort of know, no matter what the other person does, that there's nothing that's going to be too far out or shocking or weird that you can't go with, you know, if we know each other.
And also musically, we're totally sort of opposed, so that's good too, you know. And so as Alan, and so when you get all these things heading into the great old sausage machine, no matter what sort of song comes in, for some reason it just ends up sounding like Dragon without it being conscious at all.
There is a sort of creative tension, I guess, because we are polarised, you know, because Todd likes things a certain way and I like it a certain way. Whoever's in the middle is almost like a buffer. And we sort of, that's the way the ideas get mutated and turned into a Dragon song rather than just being my particular sort of thing or Todd's thing.
You mentioned a specific Dragon sound. Do you have to work hard to achieve a sound that is unique to the band?
But it's something that we don't go after. It's what ends up on the records. You know, it's totally, in a funny way, it's totally unconscious. And you don't say, oh God, this is not to the formula, or this is not how Dragon should sound.
It's really weird, actually. Sometimes we put things down and it doesn't sound like Dragon, and then we muck around with it a bit and it sounds like Dragon. You can't quite put your finger on what you did to make it sound like a Dragon song. And I think it must be a mixture of the bass playing and the singing, the way Todd and I sing together, and the chord progressions that we
keyboards, the whole
that
thing.
we favour, you know, which are...
But basically would probably come back to the South Pacific type, under the palm tree type harmonies and shit.
You're talking about the Dragon sound and how that occurred, and this time was the first time that occurred, actually.
Yeah.
In the studio we went, okay, we'll put these harmonies there and we'll do this and we'll do that, and this time was the first Dragon sounding record ever made. All the stuff before that didn't have that sound.
Yeah.
Do you find that Dragon sets itself apart by being one of the few 80s bands which quite unashamedly admits to playing pop music?
It is pop music. That's always been it's always been its sort of prime attraction, really. You know, you're making disposable music that sometimes by fluke or by artistry or by artisanship last for a long time and sort of they become part of people's subconscious, you know. And it's a high art form, pop music.
But also, but it's also that whole circular thing about the moment pop music is not fashionable, and then it will be again, and you know it won't be, and it will be, and blah blah blah.
The Dreams of Ordinary Men album had a very urgent, surging feel, while Bondi Road has that rare quality of managing to sound effortless, though quite obviously it wasn't. Did you try for a particular ambience this time around?
Yeah, we didn't want it to sort of reflect any sort of strains or struggles we had doing it. It just had to be sort of seamless and to be something in itself. So
I guess a bit more smoother edged in lots of ways. There's not that little bit of stridency that is sometimes in a lot of great pop music.
See, maybe the songs are a bit more mature, if you will, on this one than the last one. The whole last album surged because we were trying to get out of the snow. This one is we were in Bondi anyway, so it wasn't that urgent.
More liquid, you know, it's a bit more of a roll than a surge. It seems with us anyway, because we're such subby sort of morons, that we do things, if not unconsciously, then subconsciously, you know, to a large extent, and we're really influenced by where we are when we're doing it. And we're influenced by the surroundings and the sort of mental and physical surroundings. And this album was a bit more mellow in that it was done in Sydney, which is a pretty mellow place in summer.
Yeah, well, see, the last two albums we've done, and the first one in London and the last one in Woodstock, and we just decided it was time to actually stay at home, do it ourselves, and just actually be responsible for it. So getting David Hirschfelder up to help was part of that, because he's fantastic at all the nuts and bolts and arranging and stuff. He's great, you know.
David's very talented.
And so, yeah, and also we just decided to take the blame for this one, you know. Can't say, well, Todd Wonder was great, but, you know, well, I mean, if this is crappy, it's our fault, or if it's great, it's our fault.
Is Bondi Road the album you've been trying to make since you two came back together and reformed Dragon in 1982?
I'd say yes. I'd say this album is just like a symptom of the whole refocusing of everything, and actually things getting back into perspective, and, you know.
I would say so, yeah. I mean, that whole period of the 70s was sort of
a blur?
Not like a blur, you know, it's like I was thinking, every sentient being can attain enlightenment somehow, you know, whatever those diversions and digressions were important, and that they're sort of reflected in this now, in a weird sort of way. We're in our 30s, and we've just done a lot. We've had a huge amount of hits and done a lot of things, you know, so I guess your life experience comes out through your songs in some particular way.
Mark, listening to Bondi Road, it's very easy to spot your song contributions, which are very much more reflective and sombre than the others, yet they mesh so well.
It is interesting. There's a definite style of songwriting there that's quite distinct between Todd and I. Todd writes things that are much cleaner, and I write things that are sort of, I don't know, just about to go off a gap. I do tend to sort of favour the dying fall, you know, all the chord progressions go down.
Everyone was actually responsible for their own songs, putting what they thought were the best of their own songs and that sort of stuff, and there was no big power struggle as to who gets more songs, and we sort of agreed on what were the best songs to go on, and that was it, you know.
There was no bickering, we all actually just tried to do our best, and the songs that worked for all of us, the songs that worked for us as a group of people, the ones that went on.
Yeah, and I suppose Kerry Taylor, actually, the guy who mixed it, brought a certain amount of choice to it, didn't he, in the end, because he sort of concentrated more on songs that he liked. He's got really good ears. So, I mean, you know, it sort of weeded itself out.
Mark, Bondi Road features creative contributions from 3 women, your wife Wendy, Sharon O'Neill and Joanna Piggott. Does this input add a specific texture to the music?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's better than right. It adds another perspective, which otherwise we'd be singing about cars or something.
Yeah, no, I've always been very much in favour of songs that women write. I think they're great.
Todd, I noticed that Tommy Emmanuel plays on the album but is not a formal member anymore. Just who is in Dragon now?
Mark and I and Alan. Tommy has been doing his own career and his own band and everything for quite a while. It just got to a point where he got too busy doing his own stuff, and he's an entertainer, you know, not a guitar player in someone's band. He'll probably come back and tour with us every now and again, but he's definitely, you know.
Yeah, he's doing his own thing too. He's got his own album to promote. A lot of the guitar was
Mike Kahn,
and Alan Mansfield played some guitar too, which was interesting.
What happened to Doane Perry, the drummer you shared with Jethro Tull?
Doane disappeared somewhere after our tour in Europe.
We worked really hard to get to Europe, to do the Tina Turner tour, and that 4-month slog, that was hard yakka for us, you know. And there were the stresses, I think, for Doane of going, yes, okay. I spent 2 years with this band in Australia because I think they're great, and, you know, I put up with certain hideous character deformations of the people inside the band, and I can handle that.
I think it just got too much from
And I'm now in Europe touring, you know, and I spent 3 months on the bus, and there are no records to be bought anywhere in Europe because nobody pressed them. And I think that sort of burst his brain box somehow.
I think all he can say about Doane is that suddenly he wasn't there. Yeah, no, we've been playing with John Watson for a long time, who does people like James Rain.
We have a floating sort of population of people that work with us. People like Mike Kahn.
And Wada. Yeah.
Different.
And it just makes it easier for us as a band. We don't have to be responsible for the livelihoods of 6 guys. You know, it just makes it easier if you call up people and get them to play or not. Yeah. It's great. And live, musically, it makes it much better too. Yeah. And we just have to put up with our own foibles.
We wear it if it works or doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, you've endured for so long and had so many hits that the public and radio has certain expectations about Dragon. Do you let that influence the way you approach recording?
No, I don't. Definitely not. It's just, each time you record, it's a new thing for me anyway. If it was, too much of a weighty or important thing, you'd never do it. Yeah. I mean, you just have to ignore all that shit and just do whatever you feel like doing at the time.
And besides, I can never get any impression of how other people objectify us anyway, what they do think of us.
No, it's impossible to tell.
And I wouldn't have a clue what people think about Dragon, apart from the fact it's a pop band. We try and do what we've always done, which is sort of stay true to the idea of pop music that we had. I think when we first started playing, we'd like certain sorts of pop music, and we've always tried to do the best we could within that field, and the people that like the band for that reason still have cause to like it for that reason, because we haven't given that idea up.
Yeah, but you do notice when you go out and play that practically everyone there is really young, and they're singing songs that must have been out when they were 3, that sort of stuff, which is pretty bizarre, but great,
We always had a really wide sort of, even when the band first started, we had a really wide audience range. There were diverse age groups from about 16 through to 40.
Over the past few years, Mark's voice seems to have developed and expanded considerably. Do you think that's the case too, Todd?
Oh, I agree, absolutely. I think his actual singing has developed incredibly, and he's just so much more relaxed and, in control of it. It's great.
I think I'm growing into my voice, a bit. I think I used to not pay any attention to it at all before. Just used to sing in whatever mood I was in or condition I was in, and just whatever came out was me singing. But I'm actually taking more time with it and trying to figure out how to do things so they're more pleasing to my ear.
You see, that's changed in the last year, isn't it? I think I noticed the other night when you did the solo thing that your range has increased a lot in the last, say, 6 months, a year. Whereas before that it was quite limited in a way.
I've always been the same sort of singer, I don't have very much technical ability, I don't think. I just sort of hit the beat and stay on it.
But that's great. I mean, when people start, oohing and ahhing and, oh yeah, baby, I can do it. Oh, forget it. Because then the song just shrivels up and dies.
I actually try and deliver the song, I guess, because my favourite singers are people like Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra, and they're really intelligent singers. You can hear the thought or the emotional thought behind the words they're singing, the way they twist a phrase at the end of it, you can hear the emotional message that's behind the music rather than just screeching and scritching and all that junk. So I'm trying to approach getting in the bottom of that area somewhere one day.
Mark, in the 1970s, you mock-raped girls on stage as part of a fairly assertive stage style. The Dragon of the 80s seems to be a little more restrained than that.
We did used to approach it in that sort of living theatre way, and I guess we sort of still do, What you see is what you get. I'm probably less morally strict, I don't necessarily believe, you should act out everybody's fantasies for all the time. Before I used to think if people expect something, give it to them and let them decide if they like it, but no, I don't.
Yeah, but there's nothing more sad than people just doing the same thing, in and year out, the same stage act, if you will. It's just horrible to watch. But the other thing is that crowds now come along and they sing every song. So, I mean, it's hard to sort of, get someone up on stage and rape them. Everyone's singing along. He's going to rape her, yeah. It's just...
He's raping her now.
It's a different context where people actually come to the shows because they want to sing the songs and that. And so...
Watch someone frot the floor.
So it's the thing.
Dragon has seen great highs and great lows, yet has survived with considerable strength and determination. Why do you think that is?
We've been really lucky, actually, that we went through that whole sort of exploitation angle of being in a band, getting in a band, gee, I really want to be in a band, I love music and I want to meet a whole lot of girls and have a great time and have a big room service bill. We did all that stuff,
And then we were CBS's band for a year that they did the whole huge PR number like they're still doing on various
So we've
people.
sort of been through that and out the other side to now the point where it's now, you got back to the original reason you first started doing music because you really love it and it does something for you, so you get a certain loyalty towards your craft after a time that transcends the fripperies.
Maybe even get a craft after a time.
We're working on a craft. The band is kind of like, is there, and it'll probably stay that way for as long as we want it to. It's still enjoyable. There's enough elasticity in the arrangement of the band between Todd Allen and myself that we don't have to stay in each other's pockets and do stuff together all the time.
And it's also something where if we get together and we decide, okay, we're going to have 8 months off, we just do it. To hell with it. And then you get back at the end of that time and it's still there, you know. So it's not something you ever have to panic about.
It's the strategy of no strategy, really. A very zen band.
You're both in your 30s now. Do you still feel comfortable about being part of an industry that tends to be aimed very much at teenagers and the young?
Well, look at B.B. King, you know. Look at all those guys who just... That's exactly the same thing. Why the hell should you stop if you're enjoying it? If there's people going to the gigs, if there's people buying records, great. As soon as it stops, let's look around. But I mean, there's no reason to stop as far as I can see. You know, yeah, the thing of climbing up on stage and, you know, you're looking down at people who are, what, half your age, is, it's great to get away with it.
I think it's not something that you would want to stop. It's a really enjoyable thing, as long as you don't do it to death, you know, and as long as you don't have to do it.
Okay guys, let's get into the album. The opening cut is a perfect mood setter. It's the first single, Young Years. Can you tell us about it?
Well, it was a natural for the first single for us. It just had all those things that singles have.
Yeah, and so the subject matter's pretty good too. It's kind of fits in with the whole feeling of the album, I guess, which is that things mature and change a bit. The whole album, to me, without sounding too hippy-drippy about it, is a really fluid sort of. It's got a very fluid feeling to it. You know, lots and lots of the lyrics have to do with water or with change or with the process of change. And Young Years is a good single for that reason. It's thematically wholesome.
Now, Mark, Blue Blue is a fairly dramatic change of pace. In fact, it's almost an unfamiliar Dragon sound.
Todd and I wrote that. Todd, we were in Baden-Baden on the Tina Turner tour, and Todd had been
in Germany
with his portable writing box, which is sort of a computer and some bits and pieces. And he rang me up. I was sort of lying around my room smoking 6,000 gitars a minute, you know, and trying to raid the minibar, have my way with it. And he said, come up and write something to this. So I went upstairs, and that melody and words came out very, very quickly, about 2 or 3 minutes. It was basically, must have been about thinking of Germany, because we were staying in the middle of the Black Forest, and there's a large Air Force base. There were always American Air Force jets going over heads, and suddenly I was watching them, and you could see the sort of red tailpipes on some of them.
Yeah, it was on the sort of a side of a mountain, a little mountain resort with, you know, green grass and golflings.
And I guess I'd also been thinking about Wendy, my wife. I was looking at a picture of her, and it was just about all those vague sorts of things that came together. There's a sort of thread of wryness going through the whole album too, you know, about being at this particular age, in this particular situation, doing this particular job. And then I certainly felt very wry in Baden-Baden, let me tell you. It's an example of the songs that Todd and I write together when we write together. I think we write things that are a bit quirky in that sense.
Yeah, and also, like, musically, I can speak, if you're doing stuff at the Mac and you're just farting about with, it's much more linear, you know, rather than a pop song format. So that's why it's sort of drifty.
It's more of a song round than a constructed sort of...
Yeah, because all the verses and choruses and stuff are all interchangeable. If you listen to the music underneath it, you find out you can sing any part of the song over any part of the song.
Book of Love restores the pace of the album. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, that's a song that's been around for a while. It's pretty straight out, you know, Book of Love-ish type of song. And it started out more dance than it is on the album, I think. But I think I quite like the format that it's in here.
Here I Am is another attractive piece of fairly gentle pop. It even sounds as if it could be a left field single.
Alan and I write songs like this fairly easily, it seems, because we must have both worked in more MOR type bands or something, I don't know. This is basically Alan's music and my lyrics and melody and stuff. I really like it. I really like Here I Am. I think it's almost a classic ballad. It's a very good song, if I say so myself. And I
You just did.
I just did. I always write songs like this, and always write lyrics like this. It's like communication, or anything that I've done as a solo writer. There's always this sort of there's something regretful about them.
Yeah.
If I have to describe it. I should actually play more football and be more outgoing. It's the basic problem.
Too late now.
Alan Mansfield and Sharon O'Neill strike again with Ice in This Town, a very strident song.
As you say, it's another Alan and Sharon song that's in their mould of their really good pop songs.
It's the Elvis Presley version of I think it's about Sharon coming back to Sydney. if I can presume to say that about it.
Yeah.
Golden the River has been attracting a lot of radio attention around the country. Where did this song come from?
Golden River is a song that I heard on a tape by Mike Kahn and Brett Thomas. That Mike gave us a tape of songs. He'd been playing guitar with us for a while. And on the tape, actually, there was another song which I liked more. And then David Hirschfelder thought this one would be really good for the band. So we sort of took it under our wing. Mark changed the lyrics around, rewrote some of it, and it just ended up on the album, basically. We're playing Gold in the River live, and you just really notice something about the song is that when you're actually playing it and people haven't heard it before, by the second chorus they're singing along, which is great, and a song that hasn't been on a record or anything. Also, Kerry Jacobson is playing drums on this track too, as a side note.
Todd, there is almost an apocalyptic view of the title track. It seems to be a wistful remembrance of things past.
No, I haven't got such a romantic view of it. It's more like a shopping list of stuff about Bondi for me. No, sorry. Look, I take that back. Yeah, it is. It's just Bondi, everything about it. You know, why I've sort of lived there for the last 10 years. It's a fantastic place with terrible things about it and great things. And that's it. And just, you know, the whole song sort of meanders down the road to the beach. It's that sort of our approach to life.
That's it. It's actually Joe's lyrics, I think.
Yeah,
for that,
of
because
course.
Todd and I wrote it originally as a song called 16 Steps. It was changed around, and then Joe focused it on Bondi much more, and it works really well. It's a good song.
Now, guys, before we get into the next track, should I be calling you Mark and Todd or Jan and Dean?
Summer. Summer comes. Excuse me, that was a song that I wrote with David Hirschfelder, which was originally called Dressed for Success, which was about yuppies. And during the course of the recording, it changed. I didn't like the way it turned out, so I took the basic music track home, and my wife Wendy and I rewrote the words to it, and Wendy suggested some of the melody line. I've always really liked all those Beach Boys things, and that's sort of the way it sounds a bit. It's good, it's a fun song.
Mark, it's hard not to be impressed with Family Man, which seems to be a quite personal revelation for you.
It is a personal song. It is exactly what it sounds like, actually. It's exactly what the lyrics say. It's about growing up a bit and being a little bit more responsible in the choices you make, or trying to be anyway.
Yeah,
it's about wrestling your willful beast of a nature to the ground.
It's also something that's happening to a lot of people at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
the old demographic hump.
You get to a certain stage where you think, well, try and control your capricious, willful nature. That's what that's about. It's really about lots of things. I mean, having children does strange things to your brain, I'm sure. You know, it doesn't only produce chemical changes in women, it produces chemical changes in men too, where you start thinking, like, some things are really good. And I guess it's about the traditional verities, isn't it? Home and hearth and all that sort of junk.
And Family Man features a very special guest appearance. Can you tell us about that?
Kenny G and Family Man. Well, he was in town, and I thought David Hirschfeld and I, because we wrote the song, thought it would be great to have a sax line in there. I thought, well, saxophone player, and went through the list of local saxophone players. And somebody suggested Kenny G, who was in town and just on the Horton, what's it called, the entertainment centre. And I chased around and found out where we were staying and badgered his manager and rang his promoter, and they said, oh no, I don't think he'd be interested in doing a session. I chased around for about 3 days and finally got him to agree to do it, sent him a tape, and he really liked the song, which is the only reason he did it. And he put that beautiful line on at the start. It was great. Mr. Gromnick.
The slick Mansfield O'Neill team are back again with Runaway.
Runaway is, I really like the song, even though I don't know what.
I think it's great. It's another typical sort of Alan and Sharon song where they've got that fairly hard driving kind of rhythm underneath it and a good melody line on top. It's really a good hooky pop song. It's
although the subject matter is a bit gloomy, isn't it?
It's a bit gloomy. I think when they were writing this, Sharon was experimenting with
running away.
Experimenting with using her voice differently, you know, doing a really low track and a really high track, almost a falsetto track, the way Huey Lewis does. At least I think that's the impression I got. And it's basically just a sort of hard rockin' song.
It's great that she and Alan have started writing together, because it just means there's this whole, for us anyway, there's this whole other area of songs coming in, which can only make it stronger.
The good thing about the band is that there's always been great songwriters around the band. And that's sort of continuing.
Good Time Girl is another Alan and Sharon song. It utilises a cute play on words.
Yeah. Well, this is very pop, this song, isn't it? Good Time Girl. It's the whole, pop structure.
This song was a late inclusion, really, on the album, I think. Because Gary liked it, but because it was so simple, I guess, Todd and I didn't think it was as good as it is. So we weren't incredibly enthusiastic about it, but Alan and Sharon said it was great, and everybody else said it was great, so it is on the album. And it is a good pop song. It's really poppy.
The album closes with a familiar song, your hit version of Kool and the Gang's Celebration. Given that this is a generous 12-track album, was that included as sort of a bonus for fans?
I don't know, we feel really fond of it. It just works incredibly well live. There is a place for it on this album, I think.
And that song was a great example of how the band works, really, because we did it in London on the Tina Turner tour. We were experimenting with other songs that we hadn't written because we didn't have to please a home-based audience, and that was one of the songs we were mucking around
So
with.
we're doing things like 8 Miles High and all sorts of weirdo stuff. It's great.
Some great songs. Doing When I Come Home, you remember that song? When I Come Home.
Spencer Davis.
Spencer Davis song. Bits and pieces. We would really like to do an album of that if we ever have time.
Yeah, good covers. And we used to do Girls Talk, which was great. But I don't know, it's hard, it's hard to think of, even though it would be really fun to do, actually, if we did an album of covers, people would go, oh God, these guys, But every now and then, just to put them out, it's great.
Todd was convinced that Celebration was a great song, it was one of his favourite songs, so we came back and did it, because he wanted it as a single, huh?
Oh no, it's just,
It's a good song.
it was at a point where we thought, okay, we should do something that doesn't matter too much either way what we do, and we just recorded it in a hotel room on computers and stuff in Melbourne.
We changed the bridge.
Yeah.
The bridge was